Okay, so that was not virtual. This was practical. We actually clapped for the president but something just struck me. When he talked about how much he paid, did you guys have ASU over there? Was there riot at Imperial College? Did you riot over food? Do you riot over anything? I want to hear that. I want to hear from you guys later on whether, because in my own, where I went to, my own college, we had riots over food, riot over lights, engage the police several times, and now we have the Jackpot Revolution. All of these things you did not witness when you were in Imperial College. We'll listen to them very soon. But something just also struck me. Out of the speakers here, we have a consultant psychiatrist, a shrink. Why do you have a shrink? Because they help us, sometimes take us away from those where we don't get depressed and the rest. And if a shrink finished from Imperial College, I want to listen to her. Ladies and gentlemen, join me shortly. And from wherever you are, if you have never had a session with a shrink, here is your first opportunity. We have Dr. Olayinka Jibunoh, consultant psychiatrist, who will be speaking with us for the next few minutes. What she has to say, it may not have anything to do with the XYZ chromosome or your state of mind. I don't know what it's going to be, but I assure you, she is going to make your day. Ladies and gentlemen, you are here in the studios with me. Let's give her a round of applause. Let's welcome Dr. Olayinka. Aren't you so fine? You all look so fine there.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Olayinka Jibunoh. I'm a consultant psychiatrist. I own a practice called the Freudian Center, where we take care of people's mental health. So we deal with mental health across different age groups, from the child and adolescent age group to the elderly. I attended Imperial College between 2014 and 2016. But before that, I had attended the University of Lagos, where I studied medicine and surgery. And I remember when I met my husband many years ago, he had said that, oh, I think you need to go on and read some more, because I believe you're like Harvard stuff, you're Oxford type material. And the only way I'm going to support you if you're going to read further is if you choose a school in the top tier of the Russell Group. So he had insisted. I think because when I was much younger, I attended Queen's College, Yaba, and I'd wanted to study abroad then. My dad had wanted me to also go to America to study. All my friends were going to America to study. And I wrote the SAT and did everything I was supposed to do. But at the last minute, my dad changed his mind. I was like, he heard some bad news about someone's daughter. And I was like, you can't go anymore. And I was supposed to also go to Ife. He said, no, you can't even go to Ife. You have to go to Unilag. You have to be under my nose. You have to come home every weekend. And that was the end of my plans for the US and going far. So I attended Unilag. My experience at Unilag compared to Imperial College was so totally different. I would say that Imperial College changed my life because, going to school in Unilag, back then, our parents didn't choose the school based on the characteristics or what the schools had to offer. It was more of, okay, my friend's son went to Unilag, so go to Unilag, or Unilag has medicine and surgery, just go and do medicine and surgery Unilag, So it was just random selection. It wasn't, and luckily for me, I made the merit list on Unilag, and I went through Unilag on an ExxonMobil scholarship. So, it just came easy and naturally for me, and I went through. But getting into Unilag, it was something else, because we were over 200 in the class, in 100 level. It was crazy, You get into the class, there will be no seats because the class was filled up with people, and the lecturers would be in front of you. You could barely even hear what the lecturers had to say because the classes were so full. And halfway, as you go on, you see people drop off. By the time you get to 300 level, you would have dropped from 200 students to 100 and something. And by the time you get to 600 level, you will see that the graduating class would be about 40 people. A lot of people that have dropped off along the way. And then I just 40 people graduated. I don't think so. It was the typical Nigerian experience, you know. But now listening to my husband and then going on to Imperial College, I studied health policy, and I applied for the course in 2013. But it was an interesting experience because I got my offer letter on the day my father died. You know, my dad had a stroke, and we had been in the hospital for over 3 months, sleeping in the hospital, watching over him and all that. And then he passed on sometime in September in 2013. And then we all got back home. We were all weeping and unhappy. And I just picked up my phone that day to look at my email. And there in my mail was an offer for admission. It almost felt like my dad had compensated me for not allowing me to go to the US many years ago. It was a bittersweet moment, you know, because I lost my dad, and in that moment I got what I wanted. So it was interesting, but I couldn't attend the school that year because I had to defer because I was grieving. So I deferred to 2014. But the interesting thing was that by the time I was ready to go to school, I was heavily pregnant. You know, I was about 6 months pregnant. I tried to defer again, but the school said it wasn't possible. I had to attend in that year. So I went to UK with a 6-month-old pregnancy. I was heavily pregnant, but I struggled getting into the tube and going to school. Then we first started at South Kensington campus and then moved on to St. Mary's campus. Going to school back with a heavy tummy then was quite an experience. You know, I wonder how those women do it, getting on the tube. They are being heavily pregnant. So luckily for me, my husband intervened at that point and put me up at the Radisson Blu Hotel in South Kensington. So I was there till I put to bed. I guess he was protecting his investment. So I was pampered at the Radisson Blu. It was a lovely experience. So I was pampered at the Radisson Blu for the remaining 3 months of my pregnancy, and they did till I put to bed. But by the time I had to come, because I chose part-time stream, not the full-time. So I had to come back to Nigeria. And then by the time I went back again, I wasn't pregnant again. So my husband was like, this time you have to stay with friends. So by that time, I had to move in with some of our family friends then and did the usual journey to St. Mary's campus. But the big difference for me between learning in the UK and learning in Nigeria was, you know, being in a class with over 200 people in Nigeria, I would often get lost in the class. So I'm the kind of person that would just sit at the back of the class and listen and observe. I have a very photographic memory. So I would sit in that class. Sometimes Imperial class sizes were smaller. They were more interactive. You know, the lecturers were like your friends. And I love the fact that before you go to the lecture, you had all the materials you needed. So they would have sent you loads of materials to digest. You know, I spent a lot of time in the libraries reading about topics ahead of the class. So by the time you get to the class, it's like you knew so much. All you had were questions for the lecturers, which I found very interesting. Another thing I found very interesting was the fact that the school also put into consideration extracurricular activities to help soft skills and other aspects of it. So it wasn't just purely academic. You know, we had other activities at the South Kensington campus where you could enroll for public speaking classes, you know, essay writing classes, dance classes, language classes. And I made sure to engage myself fully in those activities because going there, I was very shy. I was a very shy young woman. But having spent time in the public speaking classes and all those extracurricular stuff, I saw that it made me a better person. The Yinka that went to Imperial wasn't the Yinka that left Imperial after 2 years, because Imperial was able to make me a well-rounded woman. It wasn't just academics. They helped improve my soft skills. You know, I was able to work on that. I was able to build other parts of myself. And I love that. And that's why even today, when parents come to my clinic and they ask me, oh, doc, what do you think? Where should we send our child? I'm like, don't just pick any random school. I spent £23,000 on my school fees. But I believe it was £23,000 well spent, because you can't go to school and it's purely academics, read, digest, and point out. There's so much more. There's so much more that needs to go into education. I tell parents, if you have to send your child to Imperial or Oxford, spend that money, because the child will come out as a well-rounded individual. It's not just book and out. You're going to come back. You're going to get someone that is well educated, someone that can stand anywhere, someone that can. Now I'm an entrepreneur. I'm sure before I went to Imperial, I would never have considered starting my own business. I saw what was going on around. Doctors were finishing fellowship programs and they were not getting jobs because the federal government wasn't recruiting. So fellows or consultants finish their programs and be idle or unemployed. And the next thing is they had to leave the country because there were no jobs. A lot of people couldn't start their own hospitals because there was no money to start. Banks wouldn't give you a loan to start a hospital. No one would give you money. So it was a difficult situation, but I was able to, in those difficult moments, I was able to get up and start my own practice, despite the obstacles and the challenges that I faced. I believe it was the Imperial spirit in me working through me to push me to forge ahead, irrespective of the obstacles that I saw around me. It was a beautiful experience. The only regret I have was doing a 2-year part-time course. If I had to do it again, I'll do a 1-year full-time, because that would help me immerse myself fully in the school's program. I missed a lot of programs. At the end of my program, there was a recruitment fair where you had to go and companies would come. So I was listed for Bain. There's a company called Bain also. It's a multinational. But then I couldn't attend the fair because of visa issues and travel issues. So it's a fantastic school. I told my baby, the little baby that was with me during my program, I told him, because he did it part-time with me, he has to go back again and finish his time at Imperial, because it's a fantastic school. Anything else I need to add? I think I've summed it up in a nutshell. So thank you very much.